Caroline Leavitt no es muy buena en su trabajo. Y cualquiera que vea este canal con regularidad, saben que gran parte de esto es por su incapacidad de decir la verdad y su gran capacidad de mentir en nombre de Donald Trump, que pareciera que la contrataron únicamente para eso. Pero ciertas veces, cuando las cosas se ponen realmente difíciles para Caroline Leavitt, no le queda de otra opción más que huir. Y eso fue cuando le presionaron por la narrativa que estaba tratando de imponer. Y te preguntarás, ¿cuál es esta narrativa? La narrativa es que ella proponía que la malvada CNN trataba de humillar al pobre Donald Trump con una historia falsa. Por si te lo preguntas, esta historia falsa que ella se refiere es una filtración que salió desde el mismo Pentágono. Y este fue un momento horrible para Caroline Leavitt. Y créanme que vamos a profundizar en este momento e incluso se los voy a mostrar en video. Pero primero quiero que tengan un poco de contexto sobre esto. Y este contexto viene de parte del senador Chris Murphy. Y él habla sobre la mentira en la que Caroline Leavitt quedó atrapada. Miren el clip.
Well, they've all essentially confirmed the DIA assessment. And listen, the one thing that he's right about is that, there is always going to be low confidence in assessing a strike in a foreign country designed to destroy something underground. We don't have cameras underneath there. We don't know exactly what we hit or what we didn't hit. But the initial assessment of DIA, of the photographic evidence, is that they did not fundamentally destroy those assets. And what we also know is that the Iranians were successful in moving a lot of the enriched uranium out of Fordo. And that maybe is the most important fact. If we didn't destroy the 60% enriched uranium, they frankly don't need that many centrifuges in order to continue to enrich up to nuclear grade. So listen, they're mad, they're furious. You can see it in their voice because they got caught in a lie. They got caught in a lie. They went out there and said that that the nuclear capacity of Iran was obliterated, that we'd set back the program at least a year. They knew they were lying when they said it. They got caught in the lie. That's super embarrassing. And they're trying to cover up that lie with this righteous indignation, blaming everybody but themselves for the fact that they did the really unforgivable sin of national security communication. They fudged intelligence about our national security. You can't do that because, as we have seen over and over again over the course of our history, that's what gets us into unnecessary wars of choice. That's what gets not dozens or hundreds of Americans killed, but thousands of Americans killed. They're angry because they got caught lying this weekend.
I have been to that movie and I do know how it ends. Tell me why you think this is happening, because when you look at what Donald Trump could have said, he could have said the military performed brilliantly, they successfully struck their targets, and his base would have been just as happy. Why do you think they're digging in and doubling and tripling down on this word obliterated, which, by the way, his own chairman of the Joint Chiefs did not agree with on Sunday morning?
Yeah, listen, what you said is right. The military did their job here. But one of the reasons we have been reluctant to use a overhead strike is that we, the American national security community, has known that there was a medium to low probability that we would do the kind of damage that we wanted, but that there would be then, because of the strike inside Iran, the potential for regional conflict, the potential for a lot of Americans to get killed, the potential for diplomacy as an option to disappear, as it has, at least in the short run. So the military did their job. They should be applauded for a really dangerous mission. But it's not their fault that the mission they were given had a low likelihood of success, and the standard that Donald Trump set, obliteration, was a standard that the military probably was never going to be able to achieve, given how bunkered those facilities were and given the fact that Iran apparently had moved a lot of the uranium off-site already.
No hay forma en la que Donald Trump pueda tergiversar esto. Él está mintiendo, él mismo proclamó este ataque, y no hay forma de que pueda justificarlo. Y su primer ataque contra Irán básicamente se basó en una mentira. Y ahora intenta excusar el hecho de que haya fracasado con otra mentira. Y esta idea de que el informe filtrado del Pentágono no está bien detallado o es una completa mentira, también forma parte de la red de mentiras que crea Donald Trump. Yo no entiendo a este tipo que comenzó su presidencia diciendo que iba a ser el presidente antiguerras. Pero bueno, es Donald Trump. Literalmente comenzó su presidencia diciendo que iba a bajar precios, que iba a ofrecer una mejor calidad de vida, que iba a arrestar únicamente a criminales. ¿Y qué creen? Precios arriba, la gente ya no puede viajar bien a Estados Unidos, residentes no pueden salir ni entrar, sin contar que está deportando a cualquier persona que encuentre en la calle. Si no los encuentra en la calle, va a trabajos, va a fábricas, va incluso a graduaciones a llevarse a personas. Así que sí, Donald Trump no es tan famoso por cumplir con su palabra. Y esta incapacidad de Donald Trump para decir la verdad es una de las razones por las cuales Caroline Leavitt colapsó en vivo. Y estaba teniendo tantas dificultades que simplemente decidió darse la vuelta y salir corriendo, mientras se le seguía haciendo preguntas sobre este malvado filtrador.
They took bits and pieces from a leaked top secret intelligence report, and by the way, I understand the FBI is investigating who was the source of that leak because it's an illegal leak to CNN. And this is the same fake news CNN reporter who wrote the story alleging that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, which we know is one of the greatest political hoaxes this country and the American public have ever seen. And that CNN story does not change the facts. There was a total and complete obliteration of Iran's nuclear facilities, and because of the president's strike, because of the precision of our United States military and this perfectly executed mission, Iran no longer has the capability to produce a nuclear weapon as imminently as they did prior to the strike. The American people and the world should be grateful for that, and it's disgusting that CNN and the New York Times are disparaging not just the president, but our brave men and women who helped conduct this highly successful operation.
And what kind of consequence could the leaker face?
They should go to jail.
Es curioso porque toda la teoría del caso que Caroline Leavitt trató de plantear es que esta filtración fue terrible. Incluso lo considera de las peores cosas que han pasado. Pero cuando se le pregunta, bueno, ¿cuáles serán las consecuencias? Ahí es cuando todo cae, porque simplemente Donald Trump siempre lanza amenazas vacías, pero jamás las respalda con acciones. Doge, la criptomoneda, es un gran ejemplo de esto. Hubo desperdicio, hubo fraude, hubo abuso, y nunca nadie se responsabilizó por nada. Pero claro, ¿quiénes estaban detrás de Doge? Donald Trump e Elon Musk. Así que evidentemente, como te lo dije antes, esta es una administración que solo piensa en ellos mismos. Porque si no, me pregunto yo, ¿dónde están los cargos para todo este abuso y despilfarro de parte de ellos? Tal vez sea porque nadie ha infringido la ley, pero qué sorpresa que Caroline Leavitt simplemente huye de esta pregunta. Bueno, ¿y qué le va a pasar a esta persona? Y Caroline Leavitt no sabe cómo responder y yo creo que simplemente está harta de mentir. Cosa que yo la entiendo porque es pésima mintiendo. Pero bueno, el hecho de que se haya ido tan rápido no habla para nada bien de ella ni de esta administración. Y este no es el único ejemplo de cómo hasta el día de hoy la administración de Donald Trump pareciera que le tuviera alergia a decir la verdad. Porque ahora miembros del Congreso afirman que no están recibiendo informes clasificados. Sobre todo esto que Donald Trump afirma que es cierto. Así que mira este clip.
What are you and the president afraid of? What are you hiding? You and the administration are shirking your duty to provide members of Congress a timely and complete classified briefing on Saturday about Saturday's U.S. strike on Iran, on the intelligence that justified it, on the legal justification, on the objectives, and on the consequences. Mr. Speaker, we should not have to remind you that the Constitution gives only Congress, not the President, the exclusive power to declare war. And the War Powers Resolution of 1973 requires the President, after taking military action, to provide to Congress the information it needs, and I quote, in the fulfillment of its constitutional responsibilities with respect to committing the nation to war and to the use of United States armed forces abroad. Yesterday, all members of this House, Republicans and Democrats, were to receive an already overdue classified briefing from administration officials. But moments before the briefing was scheduled to begin, you and the administration abruptly, without explanation, canceled it, leaving members of Congress and the American people in the dark. There are now reports of a leaked, classified battle damage assessment from the Defense Intelligence Agency that disputes what the President and the Secretary of Defense have been telling us. The American people are left wondering, are the President and the Secretary telling the truth? So again, I ask you, Mr. Speaker, what are you and the President afraid of? What are you trying to hide?
Entonces, si la información de Donald Trump de que todos estos sitios en Irán fueron completamente destruidos es cierta, ¿por qué no compartirla con la inteligencia, con todo el Congreso? Eso es algo que no parece que encaje, porque si esto fuera verdad, él no tuviera problemas en mostrárselo al mundo. Es como Elon Musk con Doge. Le encantaba hacer tweets, le encantaba por redes sociales decir lo que sea, pero nunca se presentó ante el Congreso para testificar bajo juramento. Siempre parece que estas personas te están mintiendo. Y las mentiras continuaron. Hoy día en una audiencia que el senador Adam Schiff interrogó de forma impecable a los lacayos del Departamento de Justicia de Donald Trump y los dejó literalmente sin palabras. Quiero que lo veas en este clip.
Turn to the meeting that Mr. Ravani, the whistleblower, has written an extensive complaint about. The hearing started with the chairman reading a social media post by the Deputy Attorney General Blanche, who is present today but not under oath, nor is that social media post under oath. So let me ask you, since you are under oath, in the complaint it says, Beauvais stated that DOJ would need to consider telling the courts, fuck you, and ignoring any such court order. Did you say anything of that kind in the meeting?
Senator, I have no recollection of saying anything of that kind. To the extent I
Wouldn't you recall, Mr. Beauvais, if you said or suggested during a meeting with Justice Department lawyers that maybe they should consider telling the court, fuck you? It seems to me that would be something you'd remember, unless that's the kind of thing you say frequently.
Well, I've certainly said things encouraging litigators at the department to fight hard for valid positions that we have to take in defense of our clients.
And have you frequently suggested that they say fuck you and ignore court orders? Is that also something you frequently do, such you might not remember doing it on this occasion?
No, and as I explained, I have never directed.
So did you or did you not make those comments during that meeting?
Which comments, Senator?
You really need me to repeat it? Did you suggest, as Mr. Ruvani wrote, that DOJ would need to consider telling the courts, fuck you, and ignore any such court order?
I did not suggest that there would be any need to consider ignoring court orders. At the point of that meeting, there were no court orders to discuss.
Well, did you suggest telling the courts, fuck you, in any manner?
I don't recall.
You just don't remember that. Well, let me ask you this. It also says in the complaint, Beauvais indicated and stressed to all in attendance that the planes needed to take off no matter what. These are the planes that a judge was ordering not be used to render people to a maximum security prison outside the country. Did you say during that meeting, did you stress to all in attendance that the planes needed to take off no matter what?
Senator, your characterization is not accurate.
It's not my characterization. It's the characterization of a decorated prosecutor who was in that meeting. Are you saying that he's lying?
As I said at the beginning of the hearing.
No, I'm not interested in what you said at the beginning of the hearing. I'm interested in whether you stressed to people in attendance that the planes needed to take off no matter what. Did you say that?
I certainly conveyed the importance of the upcoming operation.
Well, don't paraphrase here. Did you tell people in attendance the planes needed to take off no matter what?
I don't recall the specific words that I used.
Wouldn't you recall saying that if you had instructed that the planes needed to take off no matter what, including whether the court ordered otherwise? You wouldn't remember that?
This is a mischaracterization, Senator. There were no court orders at this point.
Well, there was a court order, wasn't there?
No,
wasn't there a court order by Judge Boasberg, if not in this specific case, then in related cases, that people not be sent out of the country until the court could rule? Wasn't there a court order?
La administración de Donald Trump simplemente no quiere responder preguntas tan fáciles de responder. No quiere decir la verdad de lo que está pasando, no quiere que el pueblo estadounidense se entere de que esta misión fracasó por culpa de que Donald Trump no puede estar sin publicar cada hora en el día. Ya que sí, la idea de Donald Trump de bombardear este lugar para que Irán no pueda fabricar armas nucleares fracasó completamente porque Donald Trump publicó que los iba a atacar prácticamente. Pero bueno, para mí lo más importante es saber cuál es tu opinión y me encantaría que me la pongas en los comentarios. Está de más decirlo, pero si te gusta el contenido de política estadounidense, te va a encantar suscribirte al canal ya que subo videos diariamente. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.